What's going on, everybody? Michael Daly back with you guys and girls, the host of the Real 1% podcast, where we talk about military to civilian transition. Excuse me. Today, I got a special guest on. All my guests are special. You know, we're all veterans or in the military community, so they all hold a special place in my heart because, you know, I served as well. So without further ado, this next veteran is known as the Millennial Veteran. So get out your IG, go ahead, look up the Millennial Veteran, follow her. Her name is Jenna. She served in the Navy from 2013 to 2017. And she was an expert in meteorology and oceanography. So I'll say that, but her job title was aerographer's mate. You know, I had to look the true definition up that way. If you guys don't know the terminology, you got a little bit of a gist of what's going on. After she got out the Navy, she went to school and did an internship with the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, hoping that she would make an impact in the veteran community dealing with policy. She soon found out that that was not the place that she was going to make that difference. So she started a Facebook group and a podcast called the Millennial Veterans with two of her friends in 2020 to reach the younger veterans in hopes of creating a better community. Their goal as a whole is to get the younger veterans involved and aware of the resources. She hosts Instagram Live every Sunday. So, you know, if you guys want to get on with Jenna after this, she's going to tell you where you can find her, and then you guys can schedule a time to share your story on her IG. I was able to do it. I was sick, so I probably sounded horrible, but, you know, we still made it happen. So it's all good. I think I'm going to need to do like a redo on that at some point. And, you know, she's got a workbook as well. We're going to let you know where you can find that. So she's an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's a mother, she's a veteran. So without further ado, Jenna, thank you so much for coming on today. How you doing?
I'm doing great, especially after that intro. You know, I'm feeling good about myself now. I appreciate that. Thank you. And by the way, when you came on, you did fabulous. I had a lot of people say they really enjoyed it. So
okay, appreciate it. Hey, it was fun. It was fun, but you know, there's always some opposition trying to knock you down when you got something good going. So it was all good. You know, also I wanted to really put something out here at the beginning of. I want you guys to know that Strawberry Rita is right here. You know, this changed this woman's trajectory of life, you know. But why don't you go ahead and open it up? I mean, I watched that video and I thought that was really amazing because I don't think you really wanted to be an aerographer's mate when you first decided to join the Navy, right?
No, I didn't. I wanted to go into Intel, and I was going to be in for a 6-year contract. And my recruiter really talked me into it. And then when I went down to MEPS, they made it sound really cool. You know, you're going to be into it. And I've always been fascinated by world politics. So I thought that would be a good way to know more on the inside. And also, this was me when I was 18. I decided this. Maybe I was 17. And right before I went to boot camp, I went to this really cool country music festival in Wisconsin. And I was with my friend's grandparents because my friends had gotten in trouble the night before. And so I went out with my friend's grandparents to a concert. And on the way back, this guy was like, "Hey, can you lighten my load, lighten my cooler? Here, you want a drink?" And it was a Strawberita. And I said, "Yeah, you know, I'll help you out." And I was already drunk. So what's one more?
Right.
And we ended up talking, and I got distracted, wasn't really paying attention. Turns out he knew one of my cousins, and we ended up walking towards a bunch of cops, and they saw me and they were like, "You're definitely not of age." And I was lying. And this police officer, he was a retired Air Force, and he's like, you know, I was like, "Hey, I'm about to leave for the Navy, please. I don't want to get in trouble." And he was like, "I wouldn't want someone like you in our military."
Wow.
I know. So I was just crying. And it was just a drinking ticket in Wisconsin. It's not just a fine. You have to pay it. And I told my recruiter, and I really didn't have to. And they ended up taking it so seriously and ended up getting my job changed. They just took my job away. So then I had to go back to MEPS and, you know, try to get something else. But yeah, it was a really silly process.
But what ended up happening with the person that you met? Did you continue to talk to them and everything like that when you left for the Navy, or was it kind of just you met them at the concert, did have that little incident, and then everything pretty much changed for you?
It's funny you asked that because we literally just crossed paths and never saw that person again, but I checked my, message requests on Facebook a while ago, and I actually had a message from him, from what, 10 years ago, and it
Wow.
says, "Hey, Jenna, I know today's a special date." He remembered the date I was going to leave because I must have told him, like, I'm about to leave. He's like, "I know the Navy's gaining one cool person. I hope you didn't get in too much trouble." It was just so funny to look back at that. I was like, "Wow, that's really crazy."
Yeah. So, what made you want to join the Navy to begin with when you first started thinking about it?
I hmm. Let's see, I knew I wasn't ready for college. My uncle was in the Navy and he said, "It was great. I got to get out of this place," because I'm from a super small town in Wisconsin. And I was like, I want to get out. I want to see the world. I want to meet people from all over. And that sounds like a great way. And I was drunk at a party and my friend was like, "I'm joining the Navy." I said, "Tell your recruiter to sign me up." And the next yeah, alcohol just played such a role in my life. It's
You gotta love it,
obnoxious.
right? And then it's funny how the cop that was retired Air Force, I said that because we all know if you've been in the military, you can only get away with drinking pretty much. That's everyone's choice of after hours activities. I mean, come on now, let's be real. If you would have went to Germany first, you would have been able to drink because you would have been legal. They're drinking over there at 18, so it's kind of double-edged sword, I guess. The guy was being so act like he probably never had a drink in his life, but oh well.
And maybe he didn't, he was an MP, so I can't
That's
blame
that's
him.
that's why.
I was also being very obnoxious, and I was like, "If you really wanted to protect me, you would walk me back to my campsite to make sure I don't get raped." And he was just like, "That's not my job." I was like, "It literally is your job to keep me safe. You say you're keeping me safe by giving me this ticket, but then you're not making sure I get back safe, and I'm clearly wasted." So I was like really giving it to him because I was so frustrated with that.
Yeah. You
But
probably never would have thought it was going to go all the way back, like, change the whole trajectory of your, job going in the military. That was kind of crazy.
oh yeah, looking back at it now, I'm so thankful that I got that ticket because I would have never met my husband. I would have probably never been on the aircraft carrier on the Truman. I would have never, um, maybe even been stationed in Norfolk. Who knows where I would have
Right.
been? So
That's
I'm
good.
I'm thankful for that cop now.
For sure. Thank you. What did you think you were gonna stay in the Navy for a long time? Did you say, I'm just gonna do a couple years and get out? What was that outlook for you?
I think I originally wanted to do 8 years. I wanted to get my bachelor's degree on active duty, and then when I joined, it it was just I don't know, like, I was sold such a story, we're really gonna be out here helping people, we're the Navy, a global force for good, and then when I got there, I was just like, "Wow, this is a lot different than I expected." So I didn't even try to take any college classes. I was just like, I there were some good times, but I was ready to get out. I felt really let down.
What what made you like where did you end up going first? And like did you get right on the ship or were you on land duty or how was that? Because I know I could never join the Navy. I get sick on cruise ships, so I'm not getting sea legs. I know people say it takes a couple times now. Well, I couldn't do the Navy, so respect to you for doing that because it probably takes a special someone to survive on a ship.
It does. I mean, the ship is it's crazy. It's like a whole floating city. There's so many different ladder wells. You're always climbing up and down. You're, you could get lost because everything looks the same. It's all gray, and then you got a blue floor. But you get used to it. You get used to it, and you don't even feel, especially on a carrier, you don't even feel like you're on the water half the time. Um, so yeah, you just it just becomes your normal, like anything.
How long were you on the ship for before you got to get off and everything? And was that your first duty station, getting right on the aircraft carrier?
So my job turned out to be pretty cool, and I didn't get stationed on a ship. I would just get pulled to a ship or assigned to
Okay.
ships that needed weather people, and that was cool because I got to go on a few different ships. I was on I think 5 different ships, and Um, so I did my deployment on an aircraft carrier, so I spent the longest time there, and that was 8 months, but you have a workup cycle, so you're underway that for pretty much a year back and forth. And you can do 40 days. If you have to go out to sea for 40 days or longer, they have to give you a beer. It's called a beer day. Well, we never got a beer day, but our captain, our CO was such a jerk, man. We didn't even get a swim call or anything, and he would have us pull in on day 39 or day 40, so he didn't have to give us that beer
That's a
every
damn
time.
shame, man. What's wrong with that dude?
Yeah, yeah, and then you would spend 4 days in a city. So we went to Dubai 4 times, we went to Croatia, we went to Bahrain, and we went to Suda, Greece.
What was your favorite?
I'd have to say Greece was my favorite, but I love Dubai too. Dubai was so much fun.
What'd you do there?
So it's a dry country. There's not bars or anything. All the bars are in hotels. And we found one bar at the mall, and that's where we hung out every single time. And the mall's crazy. It's the biggest mall in the world. They literally have a ski hill inside it. So you could sit at the bar, you could watch people ski. There's every store imaginable. It was cool.
Yeah, I worked there that was my first contracting job when I went to Dubai, went to Emirates
Right.
Mall and the mall what was a Dubai Mall. It's crazy how they're like 3 stories, like you said, ski slope in one. The other one has the ice skating rink with like a huge aquarium with sharks, and you can go diving in there. So they're definitely on another level over there. But that's cool that you got to travel to all the different ports. I think that's like one of the pros of the Navy. You're going to probably see the world more than a lot of the other branches if you get on those ships and just travel around and get in. How long did you get to spend in your ports? Like it all varied. But did you get like 48 hours, 3 days? Was it something like that?
So you had to be able to have overnight liberty, and I wasn't allowed to have that until towards the end. But finally I was allowed to because I was what, a E4, and my chief was like, you gotta meet these requirements before I let you stay overnight. And so you would pull in for 4 days, and you'd probably have duty for one of them. So you could, you know, plan out those 3 days and hopefully stay overnight.
Okay. When did you start thinking about, exiting the Navy? Was it when you got disappointed as soon as you showed up and you're like, you know what, this isn't it? Or was it somewhere longer down the line?
I went back and forth so many times, and really what I was looking for was a good mentor or just someone I could look up to that I'm like, I want to stay in so I can be like them. And I didn't really see anyone like that, or just, everyone that was above me seemed so miserable, or they really hated their job. So and I'm not saying all my leadership was bad. There's some great ones. But I was just like, I feel like I could pursue something on my own and, go on to the next chapter. And really, this was probably when I met my husband. We were dating at the time. It was like probably like 3 months before I actually got out, where I was like, all right, I'm pulling the trigger. I'm gonna start planning. I'm getting out.
So just 3 months before your contract is going to end, you're like, you know what, I'm done for sure.
Yeah, I went back and forth so many times. Yeah.
What
And
was what was the did your husband stay in or did he get out too?
he stayed in, and he did another 3 years, and then I made him get out.
What did you have a plan when you started thinking about getting out, or did you just say I'm done with this and I'm just going to go to school or just get a job? What that look like for you?
So I was dating Nick for maybe 3 months, and I was like, "I'm gonna move to Maryland with you," because he was about to get stationed, and I just told him, I said, "I'm moving to Maryland with you. I'm gonna go to school up there." And he was just like, "All right," and that's what I did. I found the closest college, and I enrolled, and I just started off taking my general educations, applied for FAFSA. You can get a lot of money going to school. Any
Absolutely.
grants, I got a Pell Grant. So I was making pretty good money, and I was excited about my future. And then next thing I knew, I think it was, yeah, I was like 2 weeks into class, and I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, oh man, here's another challenge.
Right? Like as soon as you get out, now you're in school and pregnant and in another state, right? Because you're from Wisconsin and you're over in Maryland with your boyfriend or husband at the time.
Boyfriend, yeah.
So we had similar. I I got out the army, got a job in Alaska, and got my girlfriend in Florida pregnant. I'm like, well, I don't want like I was just in the army. Obviously it's not good to be like far away from your significant other if they're pregnant. You probably want someone there for support. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta leave this job, get back to Florida, but it's definitely like a landmine or something like that blowing up. I would say like a Claymore mine went off, my whole life exploded. But I'm sure you can relate to that. But let's rewind. I just want to rewind real quick a little bit and ask you, how was it? How was the procedure for you getting out the Navy? Did you have a lot of support? Did you go through like Social for Life TAPS or whatever the program? Did you get off? Like, what'd that look like?
Yeah, I went through the course, and a lot of people were saying it's not really helpful, it's whatever. And then someone told me take it twice if you can, and just use that time to really plan. That's a whole week away from your regular reporting. So I did that. I took it twice, and by the second time, I knew all the information. But I just used that time to research and plan out anything, learn as much as I could, get on LinkedIn, connect with whoever. I was trying to find a mentor. So yeah, that was easy. I took my ACT on base, applied for college, did the ACT prep, all of that. Anything I could, I was like, sign me up, because I really didn't want to go to work anymore. After they find out you're leaving, they treat you a lot different.
Yeah, most people got to go to formation the next day. They're not really worried about your next chapter in life unless you got someone that really cares for you. So, did you have your GI? So you got your GI Bill all squared away before you even got out. That way, you went to Maryland and sort of had that come in right after.
I think I had some trouble with it because they take so long to verify, or you get certified. And but yeah, it wasn't that hard. I remember waiting a long time to get paid. But you figured it out. And there wasn't too many veterans at my school, so that was hard for me. I tried to create a veterans club, but there was like 4 people that emailed me back. So I was like, forget it. And also, I just wanted some people to go to the bar with, and I ended up being pregnant. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. um, uh, but yeah, I wish I had more veterans at my school just so I knew who to ask. I really didn't know anybody that was using it.
So. Would you? What was one of the main things that you would tell someone that's maybe in similar situation to you, that's thinking about getting out the military, and maybe thinking about going to school or just doesn't really know what to do? What would your advice be to them? Since you've already been out for like what, 6 years now, you're going through it. Obviously you got to get your workbook right, so you might as well plug that in real quick, and then join your Facebook group. But what would you let someone know if you had to give them like a little motivational or pep talk?
Yeah, I would say just write down all your biggest concerns. What are you really worried about doing? What are you worried about achieving? Finances? Is it your medical care? Is it your housing situation? Figure out what's your biggest pain point and just write it down, and then slowly come up with a game plan. I would try to save as much as you can. Somebody told me to save 10 grand, and I was able to do that because I was on deployment, so you can't really spend money. And so
Right.
I had a nice nest egg, and that just made me feel secure, like no matter what came at me, even the pregnancy, I was like, how am I going to afford this? But just having that. Also, if you're getting out, you can get coverage at the VA for your first 5 years, no matter what your service connection. I was 0 when I first got out, and they paid for my entire pregnancy. So you can get help at the VA regardless of your status. And I would just say really pay attention to your support system, who's around you, who can you lean on for help if things do go wrong, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you're going to school for IT and it doesn't work out, it's not your thing, don't stress about it. Just pivot, have a plan B, have a plan C. What could you do besides that? Because I feel like a lot of us have this picture, just like when I went in the Navy, I had this picture of how it was going to be. And then when I saw what it was, I should have just gotten over that and made the best of it. But that's what you have to do. Even if you get out and it's not what you thought it was, you can still make the best of it, and you don't have to rejoin. I see so many people do that.
I have to try it again. Like, let me try this again.
Yes. Yeah. Or maybe if I try a different branch or a different career.
What about your workbook? Where can they find that? And then give us a little context on that. What made you want to create it? And then, let us know a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I made the veteran workbook. I wish I had one here to show you. And I love journaling. I've been a big journaler since I was a little kid. And, I journaled a lot in the military just to help get my thoughts out and process everything. And so I wanted to create a workbook for veterans. And it's really just, there's 42 different themes, there's 4 different categories. So the categories are recreating who you are today, because you can't be the person you were in the military, because your identity is so connected to, your uniform, your service, the whole military culture. And you can't go back to who you were before the military, because that person doesn't exist. I mean, you've grown and changed so much. You need to find out who you are now with all these experiences. The next one is planning for your future, because so often our future was out of our hands. You had deployments, you had PCSs, you couldn't control where you were living or anything. The next one is recreating structure, because we had so much structure in the military. How can you create that structure on your own and make it your own? For example, like I wake up early every day, not because I have to, but because, I do it for me, because that's how I put my best foot forward for the day, by getting up before the kids and, setting up the day like that. So just stuff like that. Like in the military, I just got up early because I had to, and I hated it. I hated every morning.
And for real.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last one is, I always forget the last one, not because it's not important, but yeah, I can't remember.
We'll come back to it. Where can they find your workbook? It's on Amazon?
Yes, it's on Amazon, but you won't be able to search it because, it's pretty new. And so you can find it if you go to Instagram, go to my profile at the Millennial Veteran, and the link is in my bio.
Okay, and we'll tag that once we post this video. That way they can hopefully get over there and make that purchase. And I wanted to ask you, what made you? Well, we got to shout out Lena though too, right? Got to shout out Lena. She helped you self-publish the book, right? So she's awesome. She loves helping veterans. I talked to her on LinkedIn, and she helped me. She also plugged me in with you, and that's how we got connected. So there's a great network out here for veterans. You just have to kind of tap into it. I used to be like a lone wolf and think, just because there's no one in the direct area that you might be going out with or doing stuff with, like you were trying to do at your school, doesn't mean there's not people that are all around the United States or really the world. I've met people that live in Cambodia that are veterans, Dominican Republic that have stuff for veterans. So it's like we're all over the place, but they're not just going to show up at your doorstep, right? Like you got to kind of go out there, search what you're looking for. And then, once you start trying to recreate yourself, like you said, those people start, trickling in, and those are the people you got to connect with. So, Lena, we appreciate you and everything that you do, and that's how we got connected. So I had to shout her out real quick.
Oh yes, Lena, she is one of the most genuine people I have met online, and she's so awesome. She's really awesome, and she's always thinking about others, and she helped me with my workbook, and she did an amazing job. So yes, shout out Lena, and she does a lot. She helps a lot of content creators. That's her thing.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like a perfectionist too, and she'll tell you that, which is not bad because she's not going to let you slip up. And not if you're just trying to skate through, she's going to be real with you and give you good advice, good feedback, which is always appreciated, because sometimes people just tell you what you want to hear, and that's not really the best thing for you. Like if I'm sucking, tell me I suck so I can make it better, or tell me what I got to do, or stuff like that. That's what I'd rather, be real with me. So she definitely holds that standard. So If you guys need her, we'll hook you up with her too, because she like Jenna says, she helps with content, she edits, she writes transcripts, publishing. So definitely a great asset. Rewinding back real quick again on getting out the Navy. One two-part question: what did sick call look like for you guys and girls on the while in? And two, you said you got out with 0%. Obviously, you're not there now, but did you ever have the process before you got out to say, "Hey, let me go get my claim started"? I know you started kind of late on like 3 months before you said, "I'm going to get out." It's not a lot of time, but what'd that look like for you?
I love the sick call question because on the ship, there's a whole sick bay, and we had this thing called the two-headed dragon that would go around the ship, and everyone would get sick, and everyone would just be at sick bay lined up with buckets, like throwing up or running to the bathroom. It was the worst. Usually happens within the first month because, it's got to run through everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And going to medical on the ship is very embarrassing because it's such a small place and everyone knows your business. And so, if you went in for something personal, everyone could find out about it because, HMs like to talk. Hospital, the corpsman.
So much for privacy, right?
Right. I'm sorry, my daughter's getting a little nosy.
We got a special gift.
Yeah, hey. She's homesick today. Speaking of sick, and medical, it was kind of taboo to go to medical. They wanted to know, the leaders, they wanted to know why you were going and get into your business when it really wasn't. So that was frustrating. And, despite that, I did have a lot of stuff on my medical record and stuff that I didn't even remember when I went through it. And so that's a great thing I would give advice to people, is to call a VSO and just go through your record, because I didn't even remember. I had osteoporosis, like early onset. I don't remember that at all. I had a bump cut out of my leg. I don't remember that.
In the Navy? You had that done when you were in? You don't even remember it?
Really? Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Can I pause for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
You're good. Take your time.
Okay.
She wants to be on the show.
I know she does. Here you go. I don't think I have Baby Shark on here. Oh, maybe I do. I'm gonna put on a show for her. Do you edit these?
No, I don't know how to.
You're just like me. That's why I do the lives, because it's so easy.
It's real life. We don't gotta make it all the information's you're putting out. We're trying to get everyone's story. That's what matters. We're not here for entertainment. We're just here to help people, and that's real life. You got your daughter there, your mom first, obviously, and I got my son sometimes here right next to me when I'm doing it too. But hey, that's life.
It is. And I don't think people mind it, because, it just reminds them like, hey, I'm listening to people actually doing this,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What was I talking? Sick call. Yeah. So that's what I was saying, going through your records. And that's when I went through. So first I had surgery on my hand. I had a big cyst in my hand, and I got that taken out. So I knew that would be easy. I felt comfortable doing that claim because, it's a physical thing, obvious, I can prove it, how it affects me. And then a few years later, I did an interview with a veteran service county officer, and she was telling me, I was asking questions about MST, military sexual trauma, and she was explaining the process to me, and she said they did a very thorough job. They'd really go through your records and try to see your performance reports matched up with incidences. They would go through everything, and that finally made me feel comfortable, because I wasn't sure, how, because I didn't report when I was in.
Right.
So I wasn't sure how I would prove that. And, it took that. And then I called a VSO, and she was going through my record with me. And, there's just so many things. I was like, wow, duh. I think anyone going through this would understand that this person was being abused because it's just right there. So I'm glad that I finally did that, but it takes time. It took me a long time to, be like, yeah, I need help. And now I can hire my own therapist because I went through the VA, or I went through this free clinic for veterans. And, shout out to them for doing that. That's awesome. But I need someone more specialized, and going through, have you gone through the VA do you use them for a lot of medical stuff?
Not really. I mean, I've just outsourced and took some stuff into my own hands too, like you were saying. And now it makes it a little bit easier with the community care network, right? That you can get more coverage in your area. So now, like, I I try to, use the VA for some stuff, and then like, okay, for instance, I try to get some blood levels checked, and they ended up on the wrong labs for the next year, which was a whole different panel than I was trying to do. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it out of pocket. It might not be everyone's best case scenario, but for me, I wanted to get it done. Like, I guess it was more of an instant gratification rather than just being drug out by the VA for months or years on end. And really, like, not to bash the VA because it is a great asset. It's a hit or miss, right? You got good people and bad people in every organization, no matter where you go. But in all reality, it's just the VA is kind of behind on some things. They're not so up on things. They're not so quick to probably give you what you want. You're like, hey, I need someone that specializes in this. Well, no, we have someone here at the VA that can talk to you. And you're like, no, I don't really want that. Or, so yeah, I'm like you, kind of outsource some of the stuff for myself, to be honest with you.
Yes, yeah, that's so true. And I feel you there. I don't like to just sit here and complain and bash
Yeah.
about the VA because they do a lot of great stuff and they've come a long way, especially in the past like 6, 7 years. But it's frustrating because I feel like, and I felt like this in the military, where I had to really prove that I was suffering or struggling to get something checked out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like your
Yeah.
blood work, they were probably like, "Well, what's the reason?" But
Right.
you could just want blood work for your own information to know how your body is. You don't need to have
Yeah.
something wrong. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I
see
get
what's
that.
going. You can check out what's going inside your body, but then yeah, you got to jump through hoops to do it. So it might be easier just going down the quest. But I don't know. Yeah, like you said, we're not here to bash VA because there's plenty of opportunities with the VA. From schooling to home loans, so they make it happen for veterans. At the end of the day, it's really all about your outlook, right, and your perception on it and life. I mean, we could sit here all day and bash the VA, but what is that going to do for us? It's going to it's just going to make people already don't want to do it. Like, so even for you and I, like, we got out with zero. You're right. We got out with zero and we had to climb that ladder, but it's a lot harder when you get out because you're pregnant, you're going to school, you got a kid on the way, you got to figure out work. So you never were awarded the opportunity before you got out to, talk to like a VSO. Was that ever on the table for you or no?
Um, I called someone, they gave me a number, and I feel like they're very notorious for not getting back to you. So, um, I just let it go, and I was so focused on using my school benefits, and then I was so focused on, just my pregnancy. I let it go by. I did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it goes. And then you look back at it and it'll be 5 years later, or and still in that same boat. So good for you for going and staying persistent on it and not giving up on yourself, because now you're probably in a better spot than you were before. I could say the same thing for me. Uh, you know, what's one thing you miss the most about the military?
I know a lot of people say this, but I miss the uniform. No, I'm just kidding. I miss yeah, we wore coveralls a lot, so it was just like that big jumpsuit, and it
Super
was
hot.
it was flame retardant, so it was really stiff, so it wouldn't catch on fire. I don't miss that at all. It smelled so bad after a while. I miss the people. I miss the people. I miss the bullshitting at work. Just the goofiness. I feel like that point in deployment, you just get so silly and funny, and you'll play any games. We would just make up so many games and hang out. I love that, and I miss that. I miss that camaraderie right there.
You know, did you ever have to hot rack? Did you guys do that, or did you have your own? Did you ever have to do that?
No, I didn't have to do that. Thank goodness, because usually there's less females on a boat, so
Okay.
it's less likely that we would have to do that. But yeah, I heard of people doing that on small boats, like what is that? A DDG you got behind you? That like there
Oh
you would
yeah,
probably have to hot rack or on a sub.
yeah. And for people that don't know what that means, let me try to take a stab at it. It's pretty much like you have to share your bed, not at the same time, folks. Not at the same time. You gotta like if you're working night shift, you're sleeping in the daytime, but when you wake up, you gotta like take your stuff off, and then someone that worked day shift is gonna pretty much share that same space, right? That's right.
Yep. Yeah. So when you're crawling into the rack, it's a hot rack because someone was just sleeping in there.
That's wild. How's the room set up though for you? Like you're on an aircraft carrier. What was your setup like? Did you have a roommate? Did you share space with somebody?
A roommate. I had 30 of them.
Oh damn! Yeah, I don't know. I've never been on a
And
ship.
and this is a small berthing. So it's operations berthing, and it's a smaller department, but there's berthings that have maybe 50 girls, 70, and then there's like 150 man berthing. So it's just you're stacked 1, 2, 3 on top of each other on coffin racks. So
Okay.
you'll have just stacks. Think like racks at boot camp, and they're all just in a room together. It's called a berthing. And then you have a head, you have a bathroom with 3 toilets. One of them doesn't work, and then you have 2 showers. So
So no sleep number beds or nothing like that.
nothing like that. Really small. I wish I put like foam on there. You try to make it cozy, and then you have a TV, and there's like a little couch so you can lounge. Um, and the TV was right by my head because I was on the first rack on the other side, and so I would be working. I always worked at nights, and the girls would just be playing music videos or whatever was on TV all the time. And I'd have to have my earphones in and a sleep mask and take a NyQuil every day.
That's rough. Yeah, it's rough working nights. I did that overseas contracting, but I'd sleep in a tent with like I don't know, 15 other people, and doors slamming all day, air conditioning going out. It's night shifts. Night shifts already a struggle just staying awake and being up at that time because we're not even supposed to be up. Circadian rhythm, blah blah blah, and the light.
Yep.
So yeah, that's rough. And you said you always did it, but I just took my son on a little field trip to Tampa. We went to like an old World War II boat, and it's like turning into a museum. So it's probably almost not that different because they had 3 in a row, 3 little racks in a row. So that's something similar to you had. And the only people that looked like they were living large was the captain. They had like their own room, they had their own bathroom, but everyone else, so much, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. You guys went down and saw that. And that's true because it really hasn't changed. We went on the Wisconsin, the USS Wisconsin in Norfolk. It was an old battleship. And I was like, nothing's changed. It even smells the same.
Wow. Come on, Navy. Update the boats.
Hey, I heard they have Wi-Fi now. And we did have a Starbucks, so.
Oh, so you never had Wi-Fi when you were going around?
No, they had a computer lab where you could wait to use the computer. Probably like you guys had with MWR or something where you could go somewhere and
Yeah,
check.
okay. Computer lab and stuff like that. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
then if you were in an office like I was, I could check the computer a lot because that's what we did for our job.
fair enough. How'd you end up wanting to start your podcast, your live stream, and what gave you the idea for that?
So I'd have to go back a little bit. I did an internship at the House Committee of Veterans Affairs up in Congress, and that's where I really found my passion for helping veterans and noticing the needs of our community. And so I knew politics wasn't the best way to do that route because I saw just so many red tape and what you had to go through just to get someone help. And I was like, how could I do this myself? So I learned a lot there. I learned a lot of resources. So I just threw some friends in a Facebook group, called it the Millennial Veterans because we're the younger generation and now And people just started adding people, and it kind of grew from there. And then I started Vet Chats, the podcast, having random people from the group come on. And I just started creating content around that because I was really inspired by a lot of the conversations and the cool things that people were doing.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, go on Instagram at the millennial veteran, right?
Yep, that's
And
it.
go follow her. She got over 7,000 followers, and when I came on her show, she said she had none at one point, a couple of years ago. So she's been at it for 3 years. You're persistent, consistent, and you're staying with it. So props to you for not dropping the ball. And I know you said you used to be a basketball player, and we were kind of talking before we got on live that you're treat the podcast and like a sport and just got to get those shots up and those reps in and keep going. But got to show you some respect for not dropping the ball, because I'm sure you didn't always have success when you first started. Like everyone, might question yourself: should I do this? Should I keep going? But you stayed with it. So what's some of the main takeaways of the last 3 years of you doing your show? What do you say sticks out the most, minus helping people? Have you had some aha moments during the time? Have you met some connections that have helped you guys go to new heights?
Yeah. I love how you said that, because there's so many times I wanted to give up, but I promised myself, do this for 5 years, commit to it, and see where it goes. And like I've told you before, it took me to year 3, going on year 4, where I'm finally seeing a lot of progress and like seeing how I could really reach people. And yeah, during those years, I mean, I feel like I've just changed so much as a person. I went through a whole pregnancy because I used to just drink on Vet Chats. I wanted it to just be a place to shoot the shit, and then it turned into something. It turned into something so much more serious, and talking about real problems and helping people share stories that need to be heard. Just struggles and what they go through and different avenues you can take when you get out. So.
Absolutely. You talk to like hundreds of veterans. So would you say there's a commonality in problems? Is there something that sticks out to you the most after talking to everybody, or is it kind of scattered all over the place?
I would say there's so many common threads, and one of them is transition being such a rocky point and people having trouble getting by after they get out. What do they want to do? And that's been one of the most common ones. And also just how helpful and how beneficial, and how there's so many resources out there. Everyone I talk to could name another resource or another nonprofit that's helped them. So I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of amazing when you talk to these veterans and you're like, what was something that you used? Well, I used this, I got this, or you tell them about that. And it's like, I was saying like maybe we could do it combined, but like there needs to be like, there probably is, I'm sure there is, because there's so many resources, but something where it's like, you should go to a website or go on an app and you just, you get all these, all these resources for veterans instead of looking, because, when you're going through it like fight or flight or whatever, you don't really want to look and see, oh, they got a tennis camp in San Diego for disabled vets, or hey, they got this program where they give you gym equipment and you can get a gym membership for free. You're not really looking for that. You're kind of figuring out, oh man, I don't have any money. So it's like you got to get your basic needs met first. Then once you do that and you're taken care of, you can start figuring out what's out there for us. At least that's how it sort of went for me. I mean, I had to figure out how to get my disability going. I was living with my parents with a pregnant girlfriend at the time, so I wasn't really looking. Oh, what about entrepreneurship boot camp for veterans? Like that came at a later date when I started getting myself together. What's some of the main benefits that you used that stick out to you as being a veteran? Anything?
Hang on.
Yeah.
I pressed the wrong video. I'm sorry, guys. No, I love how you mentioned that because there's so many people that go out and start these nonprofits where it's like, all right, let's go camping, let's do this. And it's like, we need to get people to this place first. And a lot of people are at that place. But it takes some time. And when you first get out, that's not what you're wanting to hear. You're just like, I just want to find out how I can get help with my claim or I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. That's why. Don't be sorry. It's probably we're gonna go viral for having your daughter on there, so we're good. She added value to the video.
Oh, she
For
adds a
real.
pain in my butt. I'm telling you. And I never let her use my phone, so she's taking advantage of it. And now she's messing with my desk. Yeah, I feel like using a VSO and just talking with people. Honestly, I feel like talking with people has been the best resource I could ask for, and just knowing that I'm not alone. I wish if I could go back in time, I wish I would have reached out, because when I got out, I actually shut down all my social medias and everything because I was just like, overwhelmed with being pregnant. And if I would have just reached out and found a community or stop it found people that were also going through it, I would have been so much better off. I really would have. So I think just us ourselves, people like yourself out here talking about it, other podcasts and communities, it's just, yeah, those are the best resources I've found.
Where do you see the millennial veteran going? Where do you want your brand and your podcast and your Facebook group? Where do you see yourself going?
I don't know. Honestly, I hope we continue to grow, and I'm not worried about numbers, but more quality. I hope we get some great people. Like, we have a lot of just helpful people that are knowledgeable, and I want people to keep feeling comfortable enough to reach out. So that's one of my goals, is to keep it really inclusive and understanding of all people of all backgrounds, because there's a lot of groups out there that are the kind of typical military group. And I've gotten a lot of hate comments online just being a woman, which is crazy.
Wow, gotta love
in
that.
the in the military. Yeah, I'm gonna post a video probably tomorrow about it. And it's just, I want to make a place where everyone feels safe. And if you've ever gone, have you ever gone to a Legion or a VFW?
Yeah, yeah, I have a couple other meetups.
Yeah, and how was it for you down in Florida?
I think it's hit or miss. I mean, the one I like going to is every third Wednesday of the month. It's called Let's Buddy Up, and it's someone's mother that started it because their son committed suicide. So it's a lot of people that just get together and try to talk shit and have a good time. Like, kind of like what you're saying, what we all miss about being in the military. It's kind of what goes on there. They got food and everyone talks amongst themselves and kind of networks and maybe talks about old times, or maybe talk about how to help someone or what they're going through, and just leave it all on the table and no one's there to judge. And I enjoy doing that. I actually got to talk to someone. He was a pilot in Black Hawk, the real Black Hawk Down, like in Somalia. He was there, and he actually opened up and was telling me about it. I don't want to pry at stuff like that, nor do I want to just like sit here and interview people and say like, how was all these traumatic experiences? If you're going to open up about it, I'm here to listen. So that was kind of cool. It's just hard to make it all the time because my son has soccer practice on Wednesday. So, but I've gone to a couple of those. And as far as the American Legion and stuff like that goes, I think it really just depends on what post you're at, right? Some people say some people just go there and drink and are miserable, but then again, it's all based off your area. So I'd say overall, it's a good experience. Better than sitting inside the house and staring at a wall and thinking about stuff yourself. Like, get out and get active and get in the community, like you said. Find your tribe or find people that you want to be around. What about you?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. See, I love hearing the success stories, and that sounds like such a good program. And I'm trying to get involved more in the community. I'm actually going to the fair this weekend to sit at we have a county veterans booth. So just trying to network locally. I'd love to do something in person more. I love online stuff, but I'd like to also And it's important for veterans to have community around you that are in person, because so many of us, we live somewhere that we didn't grow up or we don't have family around. So I'm trying to do that for myself and for my family. I like our Legion, but again, all we do there is kind of drink. It's very cliquey,
Yeah.
type thing. And
Right.
since me and my husband were so much younger, we get a lot of looks, which, you just can't let that bother you.
Yeah, you're right. It's like the old versus the young, but yeah, in all reality, we all served, right? So
We got a lot more in common. And I know that because when I worked at my internship at the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, I would have Vietnam guys calling all the time, and they would want to talk to me. They would ask for Jenna just because they knew Jenna was a veteran, even though Jenna was a 25-year-old female. They'd rather talk to Jenna than anyone else because she was a vet. So
there you go. What I know, one time when I first talked to you, you like threw out some crazy stats. So, and I know that when you were working or you're doing your internship at that committee, that you said you learned a lot. So, what are some of the things that still stick in your mind to this day that are like, kind of at the foresight as far as like statistics go? Because you said some pretty good ones, but I wanted to open it up and see if you could share a few of them since you had that insider information.
yes, yeah, and if you go through, the VA is not the best. They're supposed to report a lot more than they do, and they're supposed to update their data a lot. But the data on younger veterans, that's what concerns me the most, because it's, your first year, your first 12 months after separating, you have um, your highest mortality rate. And the leading cause of death with younger veterans is suicide. And the next one is accidents, um, or yeah. So it's just that first 12 months is so important and so crucial that we give our veterans a good transition into the civilian world, because that's the point where it's really make or break.
Absolutely, you're right. And you know, it's just sad because I know people that have committed suicide, and it's just not the way to go. Obviously you're going through a hard time, but it's like you're letting so many people down when you do it. You got your family or your friends, and I mean, I'm sure everyone might even had thoughts of that, to go along with all the depression and everything else, the anxiety that you're going through, because it's a drastic change. And to get out and get straight to being pregnant or having a kid on the way, for both of us, at the same time of leaving the military, it's a huge culture shock. And you really need that support system and those people in your corner to get through, because you're not going to be able to do it alone. You can't raise a kid alone. You got 3 kids. You're not, doing it by yourself. You get I mean, the stress level is high. You just need a couple minutes to breathe, and you feel like you never get that. So hopefully we can change the narrative and help, push this information out there, talk about the benefits, go to these conferences that they have. You're going to the veteran social media influencer conference in Vegas. Are you going?
Yes, the military influencer conference. I'm going in November.
Okay.
And that'll be my, yeah.
Is your first time?
Yeah, it'll be my first time.
Okay. And you got the pink microphones. You're gonna bring them with you, the little mini mics, and like interview people, while you're over there, or what?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to. I need to figure out how I could shoot that, because I don't want to be like holding my phone. I guess I
Maybe
could.
get one of the 6, I think.
Yeah.
I'm behind on that. I only got the mics coming. They're in the mail. But yeah, I feel like that's good because you can get so many people and you can just ask them all, like, what's one thing you wish you would have known before you get out, and do a compilation of all of those answers. I got the ideas. I just don't have the tech mind, I guess, but it's easy enough. The mics plug into your phone, and then maybe I'll look for a selfie stick, or if you find one that's good, and I think you can either do both sides. Sometimes you can do both sides of the camera. So if you're holding the phone directly out, one camera will get you and the other camera will get the person you're talking to. So might be a way to do it.
I need to figure that out. That's really cool.
So, I mean, it's just the beginning. I know you've been at it for 3 years and everything like that, but we still got a long time left in life, hopefully, and we can, keep making a difference and keep do some collabs. Go to I want to do that conference too. I just don't know if I'm gonna make it this year. If not, I'm for sure gonna go next year. And you know, like you said, network with other people. There's other people out here doing stuff like this, and if we can all come together for the greater good, I feel like that we could change the narrative. So. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. I love
What was,
that. Let's do it.
what was your favorite food in the Navy?
That they served?
Yeah.
Oh, so when I was living in the barracks on base, they had it was like a special on Wednesdays, and you could order your own burger. And I would get like a pineapple, I'd get bacon, I'd get a fried egg on that thing, really loaded up, because not too many people were eating at the galley on base because it was not good. But I was there every Wednesday. I remember sitting there and I'd be watching the Wendy Williams show, eating that burger. It
No,
was so
burger.
good.
There you go. That sounds pretty good. But I've heard Navy cooks are supposed to be like the real deal. They're out there throwing down. On the ship and everything like that? They kind of got some good training and everything. But what was your take on the ship? Hit or miss?
Oh, yeah, so I became really good friends. He was the CS, he was the culinary specialist to the CO. So he had his own kitchen. It was like a
Oh,
kitchenette that
damn.
he could cook stuff in, and he was on the island so he could bring food up to the CO whenever they needed. They had like their own private chef. And he was so good. He was Filipino, and him and my mom actually cooked Thanksgiving dinner for us when we came back, and it was amazing.
Damn. So if you had to give advice to who to befriend on ship, it would be what? Cooks, medics, who else?
You
Supply.
need you need to get a supply friend, especially if you want new boots or something, and you need to get in with the people that do the laundry because
Oh,
you
damn. Yeah, I thought about that for real.
yeah, you need to get in with them because they could press your stuff because you still have inspections, and they could make you look really good. They could make your life really easy. And in the Navy, we have a Filipino mafia. There's a lot of people from the Philippines, and they all speak Tagalog. They speak the same language, so we say it's their mafia, and they run the ship. They are always running the post office. They always are in supply. Um, and a lot of them are CS at culinary specialists. So you got to get in with them. And I'm lucky because I'm Catholic, and a lot of them are Catholic too, and they went to church. So I made a lot of Filipino friends.
Dang, I had never heard that before. That's quite interesting to say the least. Yeah, I worked with a lot of Filipinos, and there's some damn good cooks for real. Like in Afghanistan, Iraq, they used to get their own food and they'd cook. Damn, this food's good, better than the DPAC almost. So absolutely right. Well, I just want to tell you thank you, for everything that you're doing for veterans, for your family and coming on here and just being vulnerable and opening up, sharing your story. So it's been awesome having you on here, but I wanted to open it up to you and see if you had any closing remarks before we shut it down for the day. You can get back to hanging out with your daughter. Thanks for coming on. It seems like we both have some kind of sickness going on. Your daughter's sick, I was sick. Like, come on, man, we're trying to make something happen, and we got to get you trying to take us down. So that's when you're doing something right. And if you don't mind, plug all your Instagram, your Facebook group, and your workbook, and anything else that you want to. So the floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, Michael, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm glad we got connected through Lena. Um, Yeah, I would say one thing is if you haven't tried journaling or just writing down your thoughts, even if it's just 1 minute a day, that's my challenge for anyone out there listening to just pick up a pen, write something. Doesn't matter what. You could even just start logging what you ate that day. Just putting that pen to paper, I think, it's almost like just helping us get our thoughts out.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us were not ready to talk to someone. It took me so many years to go to therapy, but you could always talk to yourself. You can always talk to your journal. And so yeah, I'll plug the veteran workbook. It's $9.99 on Amazon. I made it as cheap as you could because I want the most vets out there to have it in their hands. And then Instagram is at the Millennial Veteran, where you can find all my links. And if you want to join the Facebook group, it's the Millennial Veterans on Facebook, and we'd love to see you there.
Okay, well, I appreciate you coming on, Jenna. Let's stay connected. Let me know if you find a selfie stick, and I'll figure out what I find. But let's share information. Let's blow up. Let's do it not for the clout, but just to blow up for the military community, to help each other and hopefully get this word out. That way, they're not waiting years on end like we did. Don't be like us. Go to the VA before you get out. Be proactive. And if you guys want to come on and share your story, if you know people that were in the military that want to share, I'm happy to have them on. I'm sure Jenna's happy to have them on there as well. So if you're following this this YouTube channel, what's your YouTube channel too? You said you just started too. So what's that?
I think it's the Millennial Veterans. Yeah.
The Millennial Veterans. Yeah. I'll try to get all the links and put them in the description. But, we appreciate everybody listening in. Hopefully you guys got some added value to your life or some stuff that you can share with your friends or family. And until next time, I hope you guys have a blessed day. Thanks for joining in. Take care.